Hey there, Chef D Malfi here, and welcome to Plant-Based Made Easy. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious dinner recipe. This is a creamy pantry pasta, and today we're going to feature a really cool product. I'm featuring the only bean today, and I'm featuring this one. This is the black bean fettuccine, but it comes with, they actually have 3 different products, and I wanted to show you all 3. So this is what we're going to be cooking today, and I'm going to talk a lot about it, but they also have this really cool edamame fettuccine, which is delicious and green. You guys have seen me actually cook this up. I made a pasta puttanesca with this, and it was absolutely delicious. And this is their soybean spaghetti, which I really, really like. Let me talk about the company really fast. This is The Only Bean. You can find them on Instagram at _onlybean and on Facebook. They're amazing. They only make these 3 products, and they just recently came out with a snack. This is the edamame bean snacks, but they're really well known for these, and I absolutely love them. The reason I like them is because a couple reasons. They're non-GMO project verified, they're totally gluten-free, and they're totally vegan, and they contain only 1 ingredient, beans. So they use a bunch of different beans. This one is the black soybean. They also use, like I mentioned, the edamame, and they also use soy just in its natural form. But I really like this because it cooks up really quick, and it's very clean tasting. So let's get this cooking. I have a overhead cam here that I'm going to add to the stream, and you can see that I have some water that is boiling. I'm going to do a full cam. Oops. Okay, I can't do a full cam, so I'm going to stop. All right, so I'm just basically going to just drop this into boiling water, which I have right here. Comes in an 8-ounce package, which I really think is kind of perfect for 3 or 4 portions. And it's all going to be individually sealed like this. It doesn't float around in the box, so it's going to stay fresh for a really long time. It'll stay in your pantry for 6 months to a year for sure. And I'm going to just pour this right into my hot boiling water. I'm sorry, guys. I want to just make sure that you can see this as well. All right, well, I don't know how, but I'm just going to pour it right in. I'm going to take this off. This is nice boiling water. I'm going to throw in my black bean fettuccine, and then I'm going to put this right back onto the heat source. I just wanted you to see it. Now I'm going to take a pasta fork, mix it up. And this only takes about 3 to 5 minutes to cook. Hello, Cherise. Good to see you. All right, so I really want this to cook evenly, so that's why I'm using my pasta fork to kind of mix it around. If you don't do this, it'll kind of clump together. And if you want to follow along and you actually want to prepare this recipe comes straight out of my monthly cookbook. This is my Plant-Based Made Easy Cookbook. This is issue number 6, which is what we're working out of. We're in week 4 of issue 6. This is an amazing cookbook of recipes that'll get you through the month. Breakfasts, lunches, dinners, sweets, even snacks, and staple recipes. And I like to classify this recipe as like a dinner because it's hearty, it's rich, it's flavorful, but of course you can make it into a lunch as well. And it's really yummy. I'm going to just keep my eye on the pasta, and it should take about 3 to 5 minutes. But before I move away from this, I just wanted to show you the back of the box. I absolutely love the Only Bean pasta and how they kind of break down all the different comparisons of pastas. So they compare the Only Bean, which is made from black soy. They compare it with chickpea pasta, lentil pasta, quinoa pasta, spinach, and wheat pasta. And you'll see that it actually is the highest amount of protein in the Only Bean, which is 44 grams per serving. Fiber just actually has 18 grams. That's a ton for pasta. And then the net carbs is 17 grams. So out of all of the different pastas, it compares itself to the black bean fettuccine is going to actually have the most nutrient-dense qualities in terms of the micro and the macronutrients. So I really like this stuff. And it cooks up really fast. So that's a kind of a plus as well. All right, so we're making the creamy pantry pasta, and while the pasta cooks, I want to get together the other ingredients. So I need an onion. So I'm just going to slice up my onion. I'm going to slice it in half, and then I'm going to dice it in bits, okay? So let me show you how I do this. I've been showing you a lot lately how to slice up an onion quickly, and the reason I do this is so that I don't cry. Oh, this is a really delicious kind of like fresh onion, so that outer layer is pretty tight. I want to just remove the outer skin or the outer layer. I'm going to use the whole onion here. And remember, this is a pantry pasta, so this is ingredients that you already have on hand. Likely you have an onion, likely you have some garlic. All right, so I'm going to take my onion and I'm going to just kind of put this right down here, my palm keeping the onion in place on my cutting board. And I'm just going to slice it all the way up in planks. I'm not going all the way through. Now I'm turning the onion and I'm going the opposite direction, so perpendicular. And again, I'm not going all the way through. And then I'll move it back to the first position and then just go ahead and give it a quick dice. Now you'll end up with really kind of even diced up pieces. This is very easy. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Make some planks, 1/4 of an inch higher and higher and higher. Turn this, give it that cross perpendicular dice, and then dice it all the way through. Simple, right? Cool. All right, so the next thing I need is some garlic. So I'm just gonna grab some garlic. I say 3 cloves of garlic or so. You know what, actually, let me see if I have my frozen garlic, because this would be quite nice. Aha, I do. Little ice crystal there. This is the crushed garlic. I think I'll use this just so you show me, just so I can show you. This is from Derote. Comes in garlic or ginger, and 1 cube is equal to 1 clove. So I really, really like this. It's delicious. It's very versatile and easy to use. You can use this or regular garlic. It doesn't matter. They both have the same flavor. And I like just time savers while I'm making my pasta. So this is one of those good time savers. All right, it's been about 3 minutes, so I'm gonna stop and I just wanna taste my pasta. I'm gonna pull some out of the boiling water for the taste. So good. Now I want to get to al dente, so I want it to have a little bit of a texture or a chew. This actually is really perfectly cooked. I think maybe like 1 minute longer and it's gonna be there. Now al dente means to the tooth, and so it's gonna keep that like texture, that crunch factor, not quite crunchy, but like it has that texture, it has that chew. That's what we want. When we overcook pasta, especially pasta that's bean pasta, when we overcook it, it tends to get slimy, it tends to kind of mush up and fall apart. But the good thing about the only bean pasta is that it doesn't really do that, as long as you cook it in this like window of time. So anywhere between, I would say 3 and 8 minutes, and it will cook up perfectly. And that's kind of a large range that I'm giving you, because you can see their soybean spaghetti is really kind of thin noodle, right? Tiny little thin noodle. This is really ready in like that 3 minute mark. This edamame fettuccine, I think, is just softer than the black bean fettuccine that we're using. Sorry, the black bean fettuccine that we're using right now. And this is actually going to be probably 5 minutes. And then this black bean fettuccine that we're using probably takes, around 8 minutes. So just kind of test it. I'm going to taste it one more time. Perfect. I really like the taste of this. It's clean. Okay. I'm just going to drain it by removing it with my pasta fork and into a bowl. And here's another bonus. It doesn't really stick as much as regular wheat or gluten pasta. So we're going to actually cook up the pantry sauce, and then we'll add this and toss it together, and we'll eat. It's pretty fast. All right, that looks perfect. I'm going to remove my pot. I'm going to switch it up. I want a saute pan now. This is actually going to go right on my heat source. And to this, I'm going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Now, if you're whole food plant-based, you can use water and do a water saute. So I'm going to add my onions right to the pan, as well as my garlic. And I'm just going to let this cook down. It's going to be really delicious. And you know what I say, as we add ingredients, we want to season as we go. So I'm going to grab my salt and pepper here. I definitely want to use some salt, and using salt in this onion saute is really going to make it cook faster, because it's going to release some of that water that's in the natural onion, and it's going to make it actually cook up quicker, because you're kind of releasing the water into the pan, which is really nice. Okay, so just a little bit of kosher salt or sea salt, whatever you have is A-okay. And then some cracked black pepper. Charisse, I think that you made this already. And I saw a few people in our Plant-Based Made Easy Facebook group that made the creamy pantry pasta. And I'm so curious to know how you changed the recipe, if you modified it at all. I think one person that made it replaced the tahini for more plant milk, and that turned out to be more creamy. So however you're going to make this your own, definitely make it wonderful and delicious. Make it taste perfect for your family. So however your family, enjoys, I think I'll just use this one. However your family enjoys pasta. Maybe you guys like red pepper flakes in your pasta. Maybe you guys like, herbs like fresh basil, oregano, or even thyme, parsley. Like whatever you want to do to make this recipe your own, absolutely. I like this pasta pantry recipe because you can truly use, like the name will indicate, any pantry ingredients that you have. And when I say pantry, I'm talking about the refrigerator as well as the pantry. So if you have sun-dried tomatoes, if you have capers, whatever, you throw it in and you make it delicious, even more delicious. I'm going to show you just kind of the baseline here with the bare minimum. All right, so I have my salt and my pepper, and I'm going to add some garlic cubes. Hi, Brian. Good evening. I hope Denmark is treating you well. Brian, I'm curious to know, did you make this pasta recipe yet? This one's really good. I think you and your wife might really enjoy this one. I'm just going to pull out some of this garlic. Yeah, I'm on 3 cloves. So you might be thinking, oh, that's too little or too much, whatever it is for you. Make it right for your family and your taste. I always say that because I think it's really important. I'm going to throw this right back into the freezer because it's a freezer product. I don't want it to thaw too much more. And then just give this a quick mix. I want it to stir in the garlic. It sort of melts away. I really want you guys to see this. Bear with me. There we go. This is nice. This is really, really great. Okay, to this, I'm gonna add some more ingredients. I'm gonna add my aromatics, okay? So today I'm using French thyme, but you can use regular thyme if that's all you have, or any other fresh herbs, as I just mentioned. But I'm gonna use about half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon, and I'm using French thyme because it's more flavorful than the regular California thyme. It tends to have like a longer leaf, which I think is really nice. I'm just gonna add a couple sprinkles of this. You can also use fresh, but I think dried actually is best here because dried has a lot more flavor. It actually tastes more like thyme, whereas fresh thyme is very kind of floral, almost sweet and delicious. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a little bit of vegetable broth, and I'm gonna do an overhead cam the whole time so you can follow along. All right, so I have some vegetable broth here, and I'm using Pacific Foods veggie broth, which is really great. I like this stuff because it doesn't contain anything other than ingredients that you can already tell what they are. So water, carrot, celery, onions, leeks, tomatoes, a little mushrooms, a little salt, garlic, and spices. Really nice, right? Okay, so I'm gonna add about 3/4 of a cup of this. You can also use water if that's all you have. That's perfect. Okay, I'm gonna give this a quick mix. And I'm also gonna use a little bit of soy sauce. I really like soy sauce. It's gonna give you that umami flavor. And today I'm using this. This is low sodium or reduced sodium soy sauce from Trader Joe's, but you can use any reduced sodium soy that you like. Coconut aminos will work really well as well. But I'm just gonna add a few splashes of this, about a tablespoon or so. That's great. And this is gonna give you that umami that you're hungry for. That's that delicious kind of almost meaty quality flavor that you're used to if you enjoy or used to enjoy meat products and animal products. And so really great use of soy sauce in vegan or plant-based cooking is to give it that umami, that missing flavor profile. Now they say that umami is like the 6th taste, that we have, which is that like need for savory, that like delicious kind of full body round flavor. So that's what umami is, and it's really, really good. All right, so you can see this is starting to really kind of break down the onions, the thyme, and the garlic. I really wish that you were here because it smells divine. It really, really does. All right, the next thing that I want to do is I want to add some all-purpose flour and some plant milk. Now, I talk about making plant milk every month because I write a cookbook, and in that cookbook, there are 4 staple recipes, one of which is plant milk. This is a really important staple. You can actually spend a lot of money in store by buying plant-based milks and vegan milks and stuff like that in market, or you can make it, and it's like pennies on the dollar. You can save yourself a lot of money, and you can save yourself a lot of additives in your body, because when you make it yourself, you're not adding any shelf stabilizers or additives. It's super clean eating, okay? So I'm gonna add a little bit of this plant milk, about 3/4 of a cup, and then 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, okay? You can use whole wheat flour. You can even use gluten-free flour, or any cornstarch would be fine. Arrowroot would be absolutely fine as well. Whatever you want. So I'm gonna pour in the flour mixture first, and then I'm gonna pour in the milk. This looks really good. And I want to kind of cook down that like flour flavor. So I'm just gonna show you here. I'm cooking it down first before I add the milk. Cook it down. Okay, now you can see it's starting to thicken, yeah? I'm gonna show you in the overhead. It's starting to get nice and thick. You know, lots of steam, right? This is what we want. At this point, I can now add the plant milk. I'm gonna pour it right in. And let this go ahead and mix together. And the combination of the plant milk with the flour, all of a sudden you are gonna get this delicious, creamy, thick sauce. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. I need to cool off. I see some stuck garlic or onions. I want all the flavor in the pan, not stuck to my tongs here. And I'm using tongs because I'm going to toss in the pasta here in a second. Oh, Charisse, you will love this. You will really love this. And this is a good question. Brian, thanks for asking. Which machine do I use to make my plant milk? I use the Almond Cow. It's an awesome milk making machine. And if you've ever purchased any of my past cookbooks or my current cookbook, when it comes to the plant milk recipe, I give you a discount code to purchase an Almond Cow at a discount. If you're interested, you can check it out. I love the Almond Cow, but I have to tell you, if you don't have a machine, that's okay. You can also make plant milk inside of a nut milk bag. Let me grab my nut milk bag so I can show you. Here is a nut milk bag. This is super duper simple. This is what you need. It's a couple bucks on Amazon. Usually comes with 2 or 3. And it is a fine mesh bag. What you want to do is you want to soak your nuts. It can be nuts or seeds of any kind. Okay, so let me kind of break it down for you. Cashews, macadamia nuts, pumpkin seeds, groats, which are oats. You could use rice if you wanted. You could even use soy. You could use chia seed, hemp seed, flax seed. Any of these nuts or seeds are going to make a delicious plant milk. I've even made pistachio milk, which is kind of like a green milk using pistachios. I like a combination of coconut and cashew because it's very creamy. It reminds me of like a vegan cooking cream. So it's more akin to whole milk or heavy cream than it is to, let's say, a low-fat milk. And I really like that combo. So that's the recipe that I give you. It's a coconut cashew milk. It is flavorful. It's really delicious. You can use it for any both sweet and savory recipes, and it works really, really well. So if you don't have a machine, just use a nut milk bag and that will work. Now I've added a lot more ingredients to the pan since we've been talking, right? The plant milk, we've added the French thyme, we've added the, what else do we add? I already forgot. The vegetable broth, of course. I need to season it up a little bit more because as you add more ingredients, you absolutely want to add a little bit of salt and pepper, okay? Season as you go. Yeah, Charisse, this is a good question. Have I tried almonds and coconut? I have. It's fantastic. That one is a little bit more like low-fat milk because it's less viscous than the coconut and the cashew together, which is more creamy and heavier, more viscous. So yes, I've tried it and it's delicious. And I want to say hello to Jennifer. Thanks for coming back, Jennifer. All right, so now I want to add the last few ingredients here. I'm going to add a little bit of tahini. Now this is sesame seed paste. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of this. Tahini is going to give you a ton of fiber and a ton of protein. And it is sesame seed paste, so it's really going to kind of like melt away. And I'm going to show you in the overhead again. So just bear with me as I let this tahini, which is right here, kind of mix in. I'm also going to use a little nutritional yeast here. Okay, so I'm going to use nooch or nutritional yeast. This is really important. It's about a tablespoon of this. This is going to give you a lot, your daily recommended value of B12. So 1 tablespoon. And this is going to give you a nice cheesy quality. This is what it looks like. It comes in all sorts of bags, all sorts of labels. It's usually called nutritional yeast. And it is vegan, it is gluten-free, and it is actually brewed just for the nutrients. That's it. It's not a naturally occurring food. It is made for cooking and made for eating and enjoying. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. I'm also going to use a couple more flavor agents. I want some smoked paprika, which I have here. So I'm going to use a little bit of smoked paprika, about a half a teaspoon. Ooh, okay, I added a little bit too much, but that's okay. It's going to be a little smoky. I don't mind. All right, of course, sea salt and black pepper. And then the last ingredient, a little mustard. Now I'm going to use stone ground mustard, which is whole grain mustard. You can see the grains here, little mustard seeds. They call it grains, but it's really mustard seeds. Okay, about a quarter of a teaspoon. That's going to go right in. And this is going to add a zippiness. This is going to add a really nice zippiness to your sauce. That's going to be perfect and delicious and super flavorful, but it also adds a nice sweetness. So that's what we want. And make sure, I can see there's tahini that's not quite mixed. Before you add the pasta, make sure everything is like mixed in together. And you have this kind of loose-ish, not chunky, but like creamy and delicious sauce. You see that? I want to show you an overhead. This looks perfect. Now I really wish that you were here because it smells absolutely incredible in this kitchen right now. Now, the last thing that I need is a little plant-based Parmesan. So we're almost there. Let me show you how to make it. This is so super simple. All right, so let's see. I think I'm going to do it in the mortar and pestle. Do I have it here? Come on, Dee. Do I have it here? Darn it, I don't. All right, I'm going to do it in here instead. Let's see. All right, my microphone just cut out. All right, here we go. So I'm going to do it right here in this food processor. I recently got this new Vitamix. Now I'm showing you the overhead here. And this new Vitamix comes with these amazing little like blending cups, which I've never used before, but it's great for making small quantities. I'm going to make it in here because I don't know how to use the small little cups yet. So I'm going to make it right into my food processor, right inside my food processor. I'm going to open it up, and here's what I'm going to add. This is vegan Parmesan. So super duper simple. First things first, we need a nut. I'm going to use walnuts today, but you can use anything. I'm going to use a combination of walnuts, about a quarter of a cup, and I'm going to use the Only Bean new edamame snack. Okay, I'm going to use this in my vegan or plant-based Parmesan. So 1/4 of a cup of walnuts, 1/4 of a cup of these crunchy edamame beans. Hopefully you can try the Only Bean crunchy edamame beans yourself. You can buy them on Amazon. They are available on my Amazon page, which I'll give you the little link to. I'm going to throw those right in. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of salt, just a touch, because it's Parmesan, right? We really need it to be kind of nice and salty and delicious. And I want a little bit of garlic powder. This is really, really important. If you want to give it that savory quality, I'm using California garlic powder. Just a little bit of this. Just even like I think a little bit more. Like 1/8 of a teaspoon, and it's going to add like a really kind of delicious savory flavor. And then the last ingredient for plant-based Parmesan is nutritional yeast. Again, nooch. All right, we're going to use a little bit of this nutritional yeast, and it's about a quarter of a cup or so. Now this is, I'm just eyeballing it. You can actually make this however you want. It's not, there's no science to this, right? Add any nuts, any crunchies that you want, blend it with nutritional yeast, a little salt, and a little garlic powder, and you've got yourself like steps away from having plant-based Parmesan. Turn this on. And I just want to pulse this until it kind of resembles the look and feel of Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to pulse it up. I'm going to start low. Do you notice that every single time I use this, it doesn't turn on? Because what's happening? What's happening here? Let's try it again. Turn it on and turn it off. Testing, testing. Hi, Margaret. Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. Yeah, you're going to like this recipe. The Parmesan is just perfect for lots of different recipes, pastas, sandwiches. What's going on here, friends? Sorry about it. Got everything in. Turn it on. Here we go. All right, so I'm just blending it up until I can see it like looks like coarse pieces of Parmesan. And I like my Parmesan coarse, but I'm gonna keep going. And I use the edamame snack mix in this one. So this is gonna give you a little bit of an extra crunch and salt, and it's gonna be really delicious. And it's gonna add a ton more protein because we use that edamame snack mix, which is tons of dried edamame soybeans. Which is gonna just add, I think it's gonna be a significant amount of protein. Yeah, every third of a cup, we used a fourth, is 14 grams of protein. So we're making plant-based Parmesan that is going to be super nutrient dense, really good for us. All right, so I'm clearing my decks here. Now I like to just take a mason jar, like a ball jar here, glass container, and I store my Parmesan cheese inside of my ball jar in the refrigerator, and it will last a really long time. My Parmesan cheese will last about 4 weeks. I use it faster than it will ever go bad. So it lasts a very long time. You can use it for lots of different things, like I was saying. I love to just sprinkle it on anything that I've made, but my favorite ways to use this is on top of soup. I love it on pasta as well. Lasagna, pasta bakes. Let's see, I put it on top of enchiladas. Honestly, if I'm gonna do anything like grilled veggies or, really truly anything, just sprinkle it on and it adds a nice kind of savory, delicious flavor. Not to mention B12. Vitamin B12 is really important for us, especially if we're plant-based. We need to make sure we're getting enough of our recommended vitamin B12, and many of us don't get enough. A lot of people that eat animal products get enough because honestly, where they're getting their B12 is they're enjoying animal products. And if they're eating meat, the animal itself is actually ingesting B12 because of its feed. So there's usually they're big feed tanks that they're feeding these animals in, and these feed tanks are dirty. There's lots of, dirt and soil and just lots of bacteria inside of these feed tanks. And that is where the animal gets most of its B12. So when we eat animal products, we're ingesting the meat that has the B12 in it that's coming from the bacteria or the dirt. So they say another great way to get your B12 is to lightly rinse your fruits and vegetables. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, no way, I'm definitely gonna fully rinse. That's okay, you do you. But the better way to get it and the easier way is nooch, nutritional yeast. And here you go, plant-based Parmesan. Look at this. This stuff is so good. You're gonna make a batch and you're gonna use it up on lots of different things. You really don't need a lot of B12 in your daily diet. So everyone's a little bit different. And you can look that up if you're curious. All right, I'm gonna clear the decks and I'm gonna plate. But first, before I do, let me just mix in the pasta with the sauce. Like I said, it doesn't stick. So remember, I told you it didn't stick. Look, it doesn't stick. It's been sitting here. If this were wheat gluten pasta, or gluten pasta, pasta that's made from wheat, it would totally have stuck by this point, right? So we're really glad that it doesn't. The beans kind of hold their own. I'm gonna do an overhead so you can see me just kind of folding this in. The point here is to just make sure that that creamy sauce is just really kind of swimming around these pasta noodles, or rather the other way around. The noodles are swimming in the sauce. Whether it's the pasta swimming in the sauce or the sauce swimming in the pasta, I don't know, and I just want some in my belly. This looks really good. Of course, you can thin out your sauce if you needed to or wanted to. You could add a little bit more plant milk. You could add a little bit more water. You could even add a little bit more vegetable broth. At this point, we're just kind of heating it through and making sure that everything is really delicious. I'm just gonna make sure that I see everything here. Yeah, this is interesting. You can do B12 injections. That's what Margaret does. I've seen that people take tinctures, under sublingual, little liquid B12. My parents do vitamin B12 supplements. I use my food. So food first for me, because that's who I am as a chef and a health coach. So I really try to get it from underwashed produce. I like my berries, for instance. Those are the things that I don't wash. and I'm getting a little bit of the nutrients from the soil and the dirt on the berries, and then nutritional yeast. So that's what I do. I'm going to add a little bit of this vegetable broth just to kind of thin this out just ever so slightly. And while this cooks up just with a little bit more broth, that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to get my garnishes ready, okay? So there's not that much. I'm just going to finish off this little container. Thank you, veggie broth. All right, so my garnishes, super important to garnish. We eat with our eyes first. So even though this looks delicious as is, we can actually make it even more delicious by adding some of our favorite garnishes. So I'm going to show you here in the overhead cam. Let me just mix this together. All right, so garnishes. I am Sicilian and Hispanic, so you know me. I like it a little spicy. So I'm going to use a little pepperoncini or red pepper flake. Did you guys ever grow up watching PBS cooking shows? My favorite chef, maybe of my favorite Italian chef, I'm not going to say of all time, Miss Lydia Bastianich, who would always call these, instead of red pepper flakes, she would call them pepperoncini, which is like the Italian word or phrase for red pepper flakes. And she would also say, tutti a tavola a mangiare, which means everyone to the table to eat. I loved hearing her say that. I used to watch PBS cooking shows when I was a kid, like I'm talking really young, like from the ages of 5 to 8, religiously. Every Saturday, I would do a 4-hour like TV stint. I could not be bothered. I could not be taken away from the television screen. I had to watch my 4 hours of cooking programming on PBS, and it was my thing. All right, enough about me. Let's get back to the garnishes. We'll finish up. I'm going to do a little red pepper flake, and I'm going to do a little parsley. Now, I'm showing you in the overhead cam because I want you to see how I hold my soft herbs. I hold these in a mason jar with a little water, and then I cover it with a little plastic bag, or you can use a sustainable bag, whatever you have. This is going to stay in water, nice and hydrated and nice and green for many weeks when you hold your herbs this way. If you don't hold your herbs in water and you just keep them in a bag in your refrigerator, they're going to get slimy and they're going to die off rather quickly, okay? But herbs, especially soft-cut herbs, like to be held just like cut flowers. So if you can think of that and remember that, hold them in a vase of water, just a mason jar like this, change the water every few days, and you are going to get super green herbs for a long time. These herbs have been with me for 8 weeks. Now, I know you're thinking there's no way. Promise you that I'm not lying. 8 weeks in my refrigerator, and they have stayed green and vibrant. I'm very good about changing my water, though, and keeping this little plastic on top, okay? This is important. Sometimes it will dry your herbs out. If you just keep them in a mason jar with water but don't cover the top, the herbs will get dry. So we don't want that. I use my kitchen shears here to just like kind of cut them right off of these stems, and then I will go ahead and chop this up. And you guys, we are nearly there. It's time to plate and eat. Okay, I'm going to just throw on a little bit of parsley. I want you to see this. Here we go. Perfect. Leave some for the side. Why not? This looks fantastic. Time to plate. Okay, the best thing is to take your pasta and stack it in your bowl or your plate and then give it a twirl. And that twirl is going to help it to sit up. And that's what we want. So you want to twirl it, and it will kind of stay sitting up just like this. This looks so good. Angie, good question. How often do I change the water for my herbs? Every 2 or 3 days, or depending on when the water starts to get a little green or yellow, okay? Good question. All right, I'm going to just finish this off with a little bit of green, more green. With our eyes, like I tell you, it's so important. We want our food to pop, and when it pops, we get hungry for it, and when we get hungry for it, we appreciate it, and when we appreciate it, our food loves us as much as we love it. That makes for a good gut and a happy heart. All right, you guys, here is your creamy pantry pasta from The Only Bean, featuring their pasta, black bean fettuccine. This looks fantastic. I want to show you the steam shot here. This is the perfect plate of pasta. I'm coming back to you, and I think it's time for me to give this food a little gratitude before I send you on your way. Thank you, pasta. Thank you, guys. All right, I'm going in. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, boy, is that good. Creamy, delicious, savory. I taste the onion, the garlic. I taste the black bean fettuccine, which is very hearty. I love the red pepper flakes. I can taste a little bit of that soy umami flavor. This is really good. If you guys try this recipe, please take a photo and then join us inside of our Facebook group, Plant-Based Made Easy. We are over 4,000 people and growing from all over the world. I would love for you to be a part of that community and get in touch with me. If you have any questions along the way, you can DM me on Instagram at Chef D Malfi or on Facebook. And please share this content with your family or friends or anyone that's interested in going plant-based and living plant-based and doing it in a very fun and easy way. I thank everyone for coming. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this. Please come back on Friday. I'm going to be finishing out the January cookbook, or issue 6 here, and we're going to be making our easy baked lime tart. So I hope that you join me for that because I don't want you to miss it. And have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time.